Hello everyone. So this video will show you how to make a grain-free granola. So if you're on the paleo diet or you want to increase your fiber intake and protein intake if you're vegetarian, this is an awesome recipe for that. I have a granola here. This is one I made later rather than earlier, but it's got lots of nuts, seeds, and this one also has pistachio nuts as well as the other nuts in the original recipe, and some coconut, and some dates and dried cranberries. So really nutritious, very healthy and good for you, but also high in calories, so don't eat too much. I certainly wouldn't eat all of this in one sitting. Just a few tablespoonfuls on your cereal or with some yogurt, something like that. Nice for a snack or nice for breakfast. So as I say, plenty of vitamins and minerals as well. There's plenty of Brazil nuts in here, so lots of selenium. And as I say, high protein, high fiber, high carb. So I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, please let me know. One thing I'd like to mention about the video, having tried the granola after it was baked in the oven, it was a little bit, ever so slightly overdone. So in the video, I say to leave it in for about 20 minutes, but I took it out after 15. So just to pre-warn you, write this down. When you put it in at 160 degrees Celsius, or if you want to turn it down to 150, but if you stick at 160, that's fine. Only leave it in for 10 minutes initially, then take it out, give it a stir around, and then just put it back in for maybe 5 minutes. So it's 15 minutes in total. In the video, you'll see I left it in for a little bit longer. And it was fine, but the dates were slightly overdone, a bit chewy. It was still delicious. I finished it all. But yeah, I'd err on the side of caution when it comes to the length of time you have it in the oven. Yeah, I hope you like the recipe and let me know how you get on. If you have any questions or any comments, please let me know. And also, if you want to vary the ingredients, that's absolutely fine. It's one of those things that it is so easy and you can put whatever you want in it. So I hope you enjoy, guys. Feel free to like the video and like my page and let me know how you get on. Okay, so here is how to make my grain-free granola. So in my bowl here, I have measured out lots of nuts. 1 cup of Brazil nuts, 1 cup of walnuts, 1 cup of almonds, 1 cup of cashew nuts, and 1 cup of hazelnuts. So 5 cups in total of different nuts. You can vary it if you want. You can use pistachio, whatever you like. This is just what I have in the cupboard, so that's what I'm using. So 1 cup of each. As you can see, it's going to make quite a decent amount of grain-free granola. So just excuse the noise, these are all going into a food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can just chop by hand, but it will take you a bit longer. Okay, that's great. Mix this around a bit. So it is about to get a bit noisy, so just bear with me while I whiz these up. Okay, I'm just going to pulse them a little bit. Great. Okay, so let's see if I can show you this here. You want them to be ground up fairly well, but still a few chunks here and there is fine. So it looked a bit like kind of rough breadcrumbs. So just dump all of that back into your bowl. A lot of banging, sorry. Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, just dumping that in the sink. Okay, great, so that's all your nuts chopped and in a bowl. To that, you add 1 cup of pitted and chopped dates. I chop those by hand. I find if I do them in the processor, they can get a bit sticky and they don't chop very well, so it's actually better to chop the dates yourself. So that's 1 cup of chopped and pitted dates. I might need a spoon to help me here. They're a bit sticky. That's fine, they're supposed to be sticky. So that goes in. In terms of cup measurements, this is the size of the cup I used for all the ingredients. It also measures out 250 ml. So if you don't have a cup, you could even use like a Pyrex measuring jug or something. Just make sure it goes up to 250 ml, and that's round about a cup. The good thing about granola, with this granola anyway in particular, it doesn't have to be exact. You can add, take away, you know, make smaller amounts. But as I say, it's just easier to say 1 cup of each. Okay, well done. Right, then to your nuts and dates, you're going to add, I've got a seed mix here. So in this seed mix is got pumpkin seeds, hemp seeds, sunflower seeds, and golden linseed. Feel free to add anything else you may like to your seed mix. Sorry about the noise again. So I've got a tablespoon here. So we'll do, let's see, reasonably level, so 1, I'll add a bit more than that. 2, we'll go for 3. 3 decent tablespoons of your seed mix. And I'm also going to add chia seeds. They're in the cupboard, just bear with me 1 second. In another cupboard. Aha! Guess the chia seeds. Right, okay, so this is going to up our omega-3s. So again, tablespoon, put in 1. Should I put another one in? We'll stick with 1 for now. I can always add a little bit later. I'll see how we go. Then we're also going to add some dried cranberries. So again, this is quite sweet. We've got the dates and the cranberries, and there's also going to be honey added. So again, tablespoons. So we've got 1, 2, and also 3. 3 fairly heaped tablespoons of cranberries. So it's 3 tablespoons of the mixed seed, 3 tablespoons of cranberries, and we just went for 1 with the chia seeds. I may add another, but it looked like quite a lot, so I don't want to go overboard. Great, so that's your sort of dry ingredients. I know the dates and the cranberries are a little bit wet, but that's the dry. So I'm just going to give that a mix. Just using a wooden spoon to mix here. Okay, now that I've mixed it up, I think I might add a few more chia seeds. Why not? They're good for you, omega-3. So that'll be 2 tablespoons in total of chia seeds. Mix that up. So it's all coming together nicely now, as you can see. Now to give it a bit more flavour, I have 1 other dry ingredient that I want to add, and that is cinnamon. I've got some organic cinnamon powder here. So, let's see, I've got a teaspoon. Say, it's a little over a level teaspoon of cinnamon. I like it quite cinnamony. If you want to add more, if you really like your cinnamon, then by all means do. If you don't want it too strong a cinnamon flavour, just use half a teaspoon if you'd rather. Okay, oh, it's going everywhere. Got a clean surface, thank goodness. Okay. Lovely. That's all mixed in then. Okay, so there we go. That's all the dry in there. So to the dry, we want to add some moisture. So I'm going to add, my tablespoon here is a little bit dirty, so I'm just going to get another one. Here we are. So I've got a fresh tablespoon here. It's a tablespoon or 15 mils. Actually, it's going to be 2 tablespoons, so it's 30 ml. I've got organic rapeseed oil here. You can use another oil if you want. I think olive oil would be too strong a flavour. You could use coconut oil if you like. I prefer to use unsaturated fat oils rather than saturated fat, which coconut oil is. So it's got 1. There we go. We've got 2 tablespoons or 30 millilitres of rapeseed oil. And then I've got some honey. So equal measures of honey and oil. I always do this. Some people don't like to dip the oily spoon in. So I'll pour this onto the oiled spoon. This is honey. And then it will come off really easily. There we go, that's 1. Because the spoon's been oiled. Again, 2. It's dripping down the side here. I'm just going to grab that. This is a clean spoon. I just used it for the dates. Okay. Great. So we're going to very gently, and I mean very gently, heat the oil and the honey. Just so it combines well and it covers all of the granola evenly rather than stickier bits and oilier bits. So I'm just going to get a little spoon to stir it. So it's on a very low heat and we're literally just gently heating it so it almost becomes one liquid. I say almost because it won't just become one entirely. So it will start to look like one. For the honey, if you don't like the taste of honey, or if you're vegan and you don't eat honey, you can use maple syrup. I prefer to use honey just because it's less expensive than maple syrup, but also maple syrup is sweeter, I think anyway, than honey. And so it does make the granola quite sweet. If you like a sweeter granola, use maple syrup. I prefer to use honey because I think the dates and the cranberries and the honey are sweet enough for me. Okay, so this is almost combined. As I say, it is grain-free. I'm going to sample this once it's done with some quark. That's how I like to have it. So I have about 3 dessert spoons with a bit of quark for my breakfast or as a snack. You can add it to porridge or any type of cereal. But I would be quite sparing when eating it. I wouldn't eat huge amounts of it. It's quite high in calories. It's got the nuts, seeds, oils, all the sugars and the dates, the cranberries, the honey. So this isn't something that, even though it has a lot of nutrients in it, I wouldn't go mad eating lots and lots of it. But it's good as a topping. And as I say, it's got plenty of protein and essential nutrients. So, okay, so once that's come together, you can probably see, I don't know, can you see that? Not really. My camera skills are a bit awful. So it's almost looking like one colour. Okay, here I am again. So I'm just going to pour that then into the dry mixture. All goes in like that. Excuse the noise again. Okay, over there. And then just gently stir in. I'm using a metal spoon rather than the wooden spoon so it doesn't stick as much. Okay. And so just give it a good stir, make sure it's all combined. If you feel you want to add a bit more, if it doesn't seem wet enough, clean surface, don't worry. I've sprayed it down before. Yeah, as I say, if you think it needs a bit more moisture, then by all means. I don't like to have it too wet because then it takes longer to dry out and bake in the oven. Plus extra oil, extra honey, extra calories. So we don't want too much. Okay, so great. It's starting to look reasonably moist, not too moist, which is good. That's what I wanted. Okay. Just making sure to give it a good stir to make sure it's evenly distributed throughout the mixture, albeit. Lovely. So, again, more bagging. That is how it should look. So it's sort of slightly coming away from the sides there because of the oil, but it's not too oily. So I have my oven preheated to 160 degrees centigrade. It's a fan oven. You don't want too hot an oven. This can burn quite easily. So you have to keep an eye on it. Even though it's quite easy just to bung everything into the bowl, I wouldn't just leave it in the oven and go off for the day. Make sure you set a timer and make sure you keep an eye on it. I'll tell you about the times now in a second. I'll just get the tray out of the oven. So the tray is quite hot in the oven, and on top of the tray I have some grease-proof paper or baking parchment so it doesn't stick to the pan. And then you just empty it out. You can see that there. Yeah. So I'm pouring this onto the tray with the grease-proof paper. Okay. I don't like to waste, so I'm giving it a good scrape. Okay. And that's about all we're going to get out of the bowl. And then try and turn this around so you can see it a bit better. I'm just going to flatten it down. And just make sure it's nice and evenly distributed over the tray. Doesn't matter if a little bit goes over onto the tray, it'll come off so long as majority is on top of the baking parchment, greaseproof paper. You can use any tin for this. The reason I'm using a wider tray is so that it's flattened out. If you use a deep baking tray or tin, it might take longer to dry out because you're not really cooking this or baking this. Well, you are a bit, but it's more drying it out and making it nice and flavoursome and crispy and making sure all the different flavours combine nicely. It's not going to be cooked for a very long time. Okay. Now, beautiful. So I'm going to pop that into the oven. Great, I am going to set my timer so I don't cook it for too long. So I'm going to give it 20 minutes to start with, and then I'm going to take it out and give it a mix around. I'll probably film that as well, and then see how much longer it needs. As I said, you have to keep an eye on it, it can burn. So 20 minutes to start with, set a timer, and then give it a check. But I'll come back and let you know how we're getting on. Great, thanks. Okay, so I'm back. I have taken the granola out after 15 minutes rather than 20 minutes. As I said, I was keeping an eye on it and it was starting to look a bit brown. So I took it out after 15. And I'm just going to give it a quick stir just to see how it's doing. So even though it's quite golden on the top, underneath it's fairly pale. Just going to mix it round and then pop it back in the oven again at 160. Probably give it maybe another 10 to 15, and it should be totally done then. It smells gorgeous. I'm looking forward to having some. So yeah, very gently, don't want to spill it everywhere, so I'm just going to gently move it around just so it's evenly dried out and baked. Okay. Great, so I'm going to pop that back in at 160 for another 10 minutes. I'll check it, it might need another 5, but by the look of it and smell, I'm thinking 10 minutes is probably fine. I have a rather hot oven, so as I say, it is trial and error, make sure you keep an eye on it. But I'm just going to pop it back in now. I'll set my timer for 10 minutes and I'll be back to you soon. Okay, so it is all cooked now. I left it in just for the 10 minutes, that was sufficient, and I kept an eye on it. So as you can see, it's a lovely tanned golden brown colour. I'm just going to give it one last little mix up, and then I'm going to leave it to cool. It's extremely hot at the moment. You can leave it to cool uncovered if you like. I'm going to cover mine because I have a cat. Not that she'd want to eat the granola, but she might get up and smell it, so I'm going to just cover it in foil while it's cooling. And then once it's cool, just put it into any storage. You can use Tupperware. I tend to use the glass jars. And yeah, it'll last probably a good 2 weeks. And as I say, use it sparingly for a snack with yogurt, or I tend to have it with quark, or on top of cereal, porridge, anything like that. Great, so this is all nice. I'm just going to flatten it out once again. It's all been stirred and mixed together. Smells lovely, nice and golden tan brown. And hopefully all the flavours are combined. Great, good luck with it. Let me know how you get on. Any questions or comments, please feel free to comment below. And yeah, give it a try. I probably will make another one again soon, maybe with a different variety of nuts. Pistachio nuts always taste really nice with this. Maybe different dried fruits. Okay, great. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.